top 5 anything just gives me anxiety, to be very honest with you.
Yeah.
That I'm like,
Hello, Patreon users, and welcome to another episode of 5 Live. 5 Live is a twist on the main show format that pits two contenders against one another in order to draft the best 5 of one actor's filmography decided on by the listeners. I've got my two best friends on the show tonight, and thank God, because we have had audio problems up the ass. And with anybody else, this show would have been canceled by now. Moose, how are you?
I'm doing really good. How are you guys?
Fantastic. And of course, we have Sean Aguilar. Sean, how are you?
Doing great. Yeah, no, there's been no audio problems on my end. That's weird. Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about. I've been hanging out here for an hour and a half. And we are drafting tonight Christian Bale films. Christian Bale films. Before we get into Christian Bale, though, why don't you guys talk about how you know each other?
Moose, we know each other. We all three of us work together for many moons. We work together at Best Buy, and we've known each other for a long time.
Yeah, well, that 2004, I think, is when we all worked at that store at the same time, right? Moose, that's when you started.
I started in 2003, so yeah, you're right. Just about between those few years as well, but I've known each other ever since, and I think just, collectively have always found everything between ourselves in terms of common interests, and especially around movies. It's just easy to keep in touch that way, so.
Yeah, I have good memories of all three of us walking around the DVD aisles back when there was large aisles of DVDs in the stores, and just like talking about the movies that were in there. And here we are 20 years later talking about movies on the air. Yeah, Christian Bale. So let's get into some Christian Bale stuff. Obviously, the guy's been around for a long time. Started acting at the age of 10. First breakthrough role in Steven Spielberg's Empire of the Sun in 1987. And since then, he's been in so many movies, taking up the helm of Batman, trying to revive the Terminator series, and working with some of the finest directors in Hollywood, and also David O. Russell. So why Christian Bale? Why Christian Bale? Moose, what is it about Christian Bale that made you want to do this draft?
I think that you already kind of alluded to it at this point. I really just, if I was going to do a draft, I wanted it to be challenging, where it's just that someone who has, I think it's easy to say that Christian Bale probably easily has at least 2 to 5 memorable movies almost nearly every decade that he's worked ever since as a child. So I think that it allowed to be more challenging to just not pick, one person's one hit movie that, was there that clearly would be on the list that would, easily sway the votes that way, I should say. But at the same time, it's just, it really makes you think. So I think that was probably a key thing that I wanted to go about. And Christian Bale has been pretty much fantastic in every movie he's ever been in, whether the movie was good or bad. But either way, Christian Bale has never failed to perform.
He's definitely entertaining. Sean, what about you? What's the draw to Christian Bale for you?
Yeah, I mean, he's the man, and that's the thing. Like, if you look at other actors, to me, when I'm watching a Christian Bale movie, he's so good with playing his roles, no matter who or what he's playing. He kind of gets me immersed in movies like no other actors. Like, you can take other guys and like, oh yeah, this guy's playing the same cookie cutter role. Not with old Christian Bale. This guy gets down. This guy gets down good.
Yeah, he's a really versatile actor. One thing that I realized while I was going through his filmography is that I don't love a lot of the movies he's in, but he always gives magnificent performances in those movies that he's in. And outside of one of Sean's favorites, The Newsies, I haven't seen much of his pre-2000 work. So a lot of my Christian Bale knowledge comes from like post-American Psycho, where he kind of came onto the scene. Now, in order to determine who goes first in this draft, we are going to play one of my favorite games, 4 Frames. Now, as you're probably aware, when you look up an actor on IMDb, it's going to show you the 4 films that IMDb believes that actor is known for. Sometimes, pretty accurate. Sometimes, not so much. So in a second, I'm going to give you both an actor's name, and you are going to send me a text message. You guys can just text me with the 4 films that you think IMDb has displayed for this actor. The person who gets the most right will get the first pick. If you both have the same number correct, we're going to toss titles out back and forth until somebody gets one right. And the person who gets to toss the title out first in that scenario is whoever sent me their initial 4 picks first. Make sense?
Got it. Yep. I'm on it.
Copy that.
All right. If you need to pull up Wikipedia for this, you can, because you can have somebody's filmography up on Wikipedia. You just can't have their IMDb page up. Your actor for the 4 frames game is Christian Bale's Batman Begins co-star Liam Neeson.
Ooh. All right.
I don't know who you are. I don't know what you want. If you are looking for ransom, I can tell you I don't have money. But what I do have are a very particular set of skills. Skills I've acquired over a very long career. Skills that make me a nightmare for people like you. If you let my daughter go now, that'll be the end of it. I will not look for you. I will not pursue you. But if you don't, I will look for you. I will find you. And I will kill you.
Okay, I got Moose's picks in.
I think this is it.
Here we go. Moose, whose picks came in first, he said Schindler's List, Batman Behinds, which
I love
which
that
I'm
one.
guessing-
I love that movie.
that's the porn title that he was in.
Porn title.
I believe it's supposed to be Batman Begins. We've got Star Wars, and then we've got Taken.
In my hastiness to type that out, that was a butt fumble. Yep.
Moose, out of your picks, you got 1 right.
God damn it.
Ooh.
Sean, you have Taken, Schindler's List, Star Wars, and Kinsey. And you are going to have the first pick, my friend, with 2 correct. 2 correct.
What?
So what IMDb says Liam Neeson is known for. And I, again, like I said, IMDb not always correct because Taken's not on that list. And that's the first thing
What
I
gotta
thought
be
of.
kidding me.
Get the fuck out of here.
The 2 that you were correct on, Sean, were Schindler's List, which you both got, and Kinsey, which they said
What?
Kinsey is number 1. Number 3 on the list is The Gray. And number 4 is The A-Team from 2010.
Dude, those are never right. I like how you say sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong. They're never right, dude.
Dude, they're never right. Yeah, let's be real.
So
They're always
let's
wrong.
just say they're always wrong, but it makes a fun game though.
It does make a fun game. It makes an unpredictable game, that's for sure. So Sean Aguilar, you have the first pick in the Christian Bale draft. In my opinion, there's 2 that could go first, but there's definitely an obvious pick. What are you picking at number 1?
With the first pick in the 2022 draft.
Of course. It is obvious, but it is a masterpiece of a movie. One of the best films I and most people have ever seen. How could number 1 not be The Dark Knight?
If we're gonna play games, I'm gonna need a cup of coffee.
The good cop, bad cop routine.
Not exactly.
Never start with the head. The victim gets all fuzzy.
Why do you want to kill me?
I don't want to kill you. What would I do without you? To them, you're just a freak. Like me.
Dark Knight. I almost thought you were going to swerve us and say the Newsies.
Now you never know. I might pick the.
threw me for a loop there.
I might pick Newsies. I might just be throwing Moose off my scent. Here's the deal. I mean, The Dark Knight. I've seen it so many times. I just recently rewatched it again, thinking, does this movie really still hold up? It does. The pacing of it, amazing. I mean, that movie. I think it's like almost 2.5 hours long. You know, it's well over 2 hours. It does not feel like it at all. I mean, the pacing of that movie, just the characters, I mean, the cinematography, everything about that movie is perfection. It's absolutely perfection. One of my favorites. It was the first thing that I thought of when Moose and I said Christian Bale is The Dark Knight. Of course, there's no way that this list cannot have, and there's no way that that nobody could pick Moosa now because he doesn't have the Dark Knight on it. That's how good of a movie that is. Moose, nobody's picking you. They can't.
Well,
That's
look,
just how it is, man.
But that's the thing, though. I have such faith in Christian Bale's overall filmography and overall resume that I think that he could still. I think I have a great chance with the list. I agree. The Dark Knight is going to be just a very overwhelming heavyweight pick at this point. You know, like there's no way that you could bet against it. But let's settle down a little bit and see what we got with our full list at the end of
The
it.
Dark Knight. I could just say The Dark Knight and that's it, and let you pick the rest of them. The Dark Knight. I mean, come on.
The Dark Knight is going to be tough to overcome, but it's going to really come down to the latter half of this list, I think. You know, what tugs those listener heartstrings, I think.
That's true. And I will say now that Dark Knight is gone, I'm curious to see where Moose is going to go. I'm really curious to see where Moose is going on this for his number one.
There's some, yeah, I mean, there's a couple that I could see going at number one for Moose. I will also say for The Dark Knight, bringing it back to where we first met each other, we saw this at a Best Buy special event like a week before it came out for everybody else. Do you guys remember that?
I do remember that. It was one of the coolest moments I could ever remember. It was fantastic. We got to see it before anybody else did, and it was amazing.
Yeah, I was wondering where I saw this from because I don't think I was with with my wife yet, and I knew that I saw it with you guys, but I didn't remember where I saw it at. So, hey, there we go. That's cool.
Yeah, it was like an Intel sponsored event.
It was and it was Intel sponsored. They gave away like cool little prizes and gifts for those who assigned, but it was really awesome. But although I definitely goes without saying that I did also rewatch it numerous times in the theater with other friends and such who wanted to watch it. I said absolutely, I'll go watch it with you guys. I thought it was great, So
yeah, amazing movie. All right, The Dark
It's
Knight
too good.
was probably always the number one choice for both of you.
Yeah.
But Moose, you can't pick The Dark Knight now. So what are you going with here for your number one
Newsies.
slot?
Newsies.
all right,
Newsies.
yeah. So Newsies really, really tempting right now, honestly. All right, so I am so convinced at this point. I think I'm going to go a different direction. I will say, and I think my number one pick will definitely ring a bell with quite a few people, and I think this movie has actually resurfaced again. Not that it got forgotten, but I think it's resurfaced again in popularity, and especially through memes and other things like that. So I think saying that you guys can probably guess what I'm going with, but I'm going to pick number one for my list. I'm going to pick American Psycho.
New card. What do you think?
Whoa, very nice. Look at that.
Picked them up from the printers yesterday.
Good coloring.
That's bone. And the lettering is something called Cillian Braille.
It's very cool, Bateman, but that's nothing. Look at this.
That is really nice.
Eggshell with Romalian type. What do you think?
Nice. Jesus. That is really super. How'd a nitwit like you get so tasteful?
I can't believe that Bryce prefers Van Patten's card to mine.
But wait, you ain't seen nothing yet.
And that was what I was thinking throughout, as I thought, if I don't get the first pick, of course, Dark Knight is going to be gone. There's no way that, at this point, I'll have a chance to get that. So I had to pick something that I think doesn't necessarily have to be as commercially successful, but I think from a cult classic / currently everybody really, really finds the memes hilarious and all the things that Patrick Bateman, and I think realizing it more of a dark comedy than it really was a horror movie, more so than ever. I think American Psycho could definitely pull its weight, especially. I don't think anybody talks about Dark Knight anymore nowadays. Not a particular to Christian Bale, but more so to Heath Ledger. But American Psycho, clearly, that's a Christian Bale in and out throughout a movie that's owned by Christian Bale.
Bold words. Sean, what are your thoughts on American Psycho here?
I would like to shit all over American Psycho, but there's no way I'm going to. I fucking love that movie. That movie fucking rocks.
I was gonna say.
That movie fucking rocks. I mean, to say that, to try to compare it to The Dark Knight is kind of funny, Moose. Yeah. I mean, okay. Some memes here or there. I mean, it doesn't compare to The Dark Knight, so nobody's still going to pick you, but American Psycho is a fucking awesome movie. I fucking love that movie, dude.
American Psycho is fantastic, yes. Like I said, I don't think it had the same commercial success, of course, as The Dark Knight did. Of course, I mean, who's going to
Yeah,
pick
not
it
even
against
close.
Batman at this point? It's always not even close. But like I said, I think from maybe a more of a cultural influence slash, just still kind of a in the minds and eyes of people that we see through, especially through social media or whatever. I think it's there.
This is an interesting play.
It is, and I mean, I will give you, if there was no American Psycho, then we might not have Christian Bale. I can give you that, because if his acting chops in that movie is, I mean, it is good, but
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know if it'd be my number one, but it is good. I won't shit on it. I love American Psycho.
This is one of those movies that I could see, depending on who's voting, like this one swinging into Moose's favor, because I've seen online, like sometimes you get this contrarian backlash of people against Dark Knight for some reason, and those same people I could see going for American Psycho, because like Moose said, this is Christian Bale's movie. I mean, I'll never look at Phil Collins songs the same way after seeing this movie. I also don't look at business cards the same way after seeing this movie.
Yeah.
Okay, well, all right. So number one picks here, we got Sean, who's got The Dark Knight on the board. We've got Moose, who's got American Psycho on the board, and both strong picks. Sean, what do you got at number 2 here?
Okay, so now that American Psycho and Dark Knight are off the board, I'm gonna go with one, which is actually one of my favorite ones. I'm going with The Prestige. Let's go with The Prestige.
Fuck's sake, man, you're amateur.
All right, a Christopher Nolan film.
Yeah, another Chris Nolan, Christian Bale team up. I mean, The Prestige, as far as when it comes to acting, when it comes to a great story, when it comes to Christian Bale really showing his chops and the whole long game that he plays in there. Yeah, it's, to me, it has actually always been one of my favorite movies. So I knew that if American Psycho wasn't on there, I knew I was going with The Prestige. I'm happy to go with The Prestige. I was hoping Moose didn't pick The Prestige first, so I'm kind of glad that it's still there. The Prestige is where I'm going with my second pick.
Moose, thoughts on The Prestige here?
No arguments against it either. I honestly, I love The Prestige. It's probably, I think, one of my top 3 favorite Christopher Nolan movies, really. But yeah, The Prestige was fantastic. I know I felt like when The Prestige came out, there were other movies, although I think Hollywood tends to do this when a particular version or brand or style of movies come out. A lot of other movies follow similarly. If you guys recall, there was that The
Illusionist.
The Illusionist, yes, that's what I couldn't think of the name, but yes, that movie came, I believe, around the same time as The Prestige, if not within a year or so of it. And I saw that it was nowhere nearly the same level as The Prestige. And again, it's just, I think it's, with the amazing actors that it had, again, Christian Bale, just so fantastic in it. Yeah, I can't argue against it, quite frankly. There's no way I could shit on this one either.
Yeah, there's just so many layers. Good choice. There's just so many layers to this movie, and it's like, it's one of those things, and there's it's layered. Some people have different, some people think this happened, some people think that happened. It's just I love The Prestige. Prestige is one of my favorite movies. So
I think really the same way that Christopher Nolan really started getting his name really more out there as well. I think The Prestige was kind of, I think, really showed what people who were fans of kind of M. Night Shyamalan stuff, and everybody thought there would be a twist. I think Christopher Nolan really outshined in every way, sense or form, that it was a much more subtle way about making these kind of movies. And again, I thought, I thought the ending was fantastic. Everything kept you interested. Every scene was just, you had to pay attention. And this is one of those movies that after watching it, I got to rewatch the whole thing again to really see what the details, led to when it came to, did the ending really truly stay true to what the whole movie said happened? So yeah, Prestige is great.
Great movie, great supporting cast: Hugh Jackman, Scarlett Johansson, Michael Caine, and
David Bowie. David Bowie's in there. Like,
David
holy
Bowie,
shit.
Couple of Academy Award nominations.
As he was Tesla.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so The Prestige, we've got another Nolan pick on the board. Moose, what do you got at number 2?
All right. I think more than anything, I need to start going with Christian Bale's heavy hitters in terms of like him being nominated and such for awards. I feel like that would also kind of lend weight to which, as you can see, it seems like every 2-3 movies he always seems to be nominated for something anyways when it comes to it. I'm gonna go with a movie that I thoroughly enjoyed, from end to end. I thought it was a fantastic movie for a subject that I didn't think I would have any interest around, especially as around a movie. Was Ford versus Ferrari.
I want you off the fucking set, you prick!
I thought him as Ken Miles, and the whole, call it that 60s era of Ford trying to make a name for themselves and trying to, assert their way of why are we, losing in sales in every sense of the way, and trying to just recreate Ford's image as a winner. Like I said, I had no way that I think I would ever want to watch a movie about whether it's F1 Formula Racing or NASCAR or any other sort of kind of grand stuff that I would play. I definitely like to play those kind of games or, see if it was something that I would do personally, but watch a movie about it, who would have thought? And this movie was just amazing. I thought it was great. So, yeah, Ken Miles and Ford versus Ferrari, Christian Bale. That's my number 2.
Sean, you've seen this one?
Seen it. Love it. About to shit on it though because I have to. No, I'm just kidding. I fucking this is another one. This is another movie that I love. It's I'm actually kind of I'm a little bit of a Carroll Shelby fan. So whenever I go to Vegas, I always go to his to his shop out there. I love this movie. Gonna be completely honest with you. Didn't think it was going to be on your radar, Moose. It was going to be my number 5 pick because I didn't think you were going to pick it. So you really kind of snuck that one in there with me because as soon as you said it, my heart dropped because I was like, this fucking guy really picked Ford vs. Ferrari. I thought I was going to sneak this one right in there.
I'm here to play, okay? Don't play with me, all right?
Well, good movie. I mean, it is. It's a great movie. There's a documentary too about Carroll Shelby that that's out there. It's really similar to this movie, but I think this movie though is just a lot more entertaining. It's a great movie, and exactly what Moose says. People that may not even be into any of this stuff or even the history or Le Mans or any of that stuff, it's just a great movie. So Moose, thanks for stealing my number 5, dude.
You're very welcome. One thing I will say is that this movie has some of the best racing scenes I've ever seen on screen, really. And this was also a movie that truly allowed me to appreciate anybody who had like an awesome kick-ass audio system at home, or even if you watch it in the theaters or so. But this movie was just a blast to watch and listen to, just from even like a cinematic aspect in that way, audio and visually. It's just super fun, and I really loved it.
Yeah, it's good. What's your take on Ford vs. Ferrari, Kleberg?
I love Ford versus Ferrari. This is one that I regretted not seeing in theaters because, just like Moose said, I wasn't interested in the topic. I love James Mangold, so I was torn on going to see it in the theater. And it came out at a time where a lot of different things were in theaters, and I just didn't go to see this. And then when it came out on 4K and Blu-ray, I bought it, and it was amazing. I loved it. Matt Damon's great in it. John Bernthal's in there. He's one of my favorites. Just really well done. And the sound design, like you guys said, is great. When I do these 5 lives, I have a 5 list picked out beforehand of like my top 5. And I haven't gone over these before, but right now I'm going to reveal to you what my top 5 were. Number 1 was Dark Knight. Number 2 is American Psycho. Number 3 was The Prestige. And number 4 was Ford versus Ferrari. So literally like all 4 of my top 4 right now.
Did you copy our homework?
I don't know that my number 5 is going to be Sean's pick 3, but we'll see.
It
Getting
might.
to the halfway point here. Let's see. Sean, what do you got at number 3? Because you guys are tracking with me right now.
All right. Well, I don't know if this is going to be on your list, but it has to be on mine, and I have to say it just in case if Moose has it on his list. This is one of the most fucking far out movies I have ever seen in my entire life. It is so fucking good though. The Machinist, of course, is gonna be my pick for this one.
What the fuck are you doing?
This movie is fucking wild. So, and really, this movie though, it just kind of shows you Christian Bale's dedication to his craft. I mean, the fact that he lost so much weight. I don't know for those that haven't seen it or aren't familiar with it, he is a machinist. He weighs, I think, at some points in the movie, he weighs like 110 pounds. And this is pre Batman Begins. So he literally had to go through and put all that muscle back on, within just a matter of months. So that shows you the level of dedication that this guy has to his craft, that he would lose all this weight in order to play this character that is a machinist, hasn't slept for a year. The movie is all over the place in a good way. It keeps you interested because you're like, what the fuck is going on? You have no idea what the hell is going on with this movie. Not like I don't understand the story. It's just like I don't understand how all these pieces fit together until the end, and then you realize, oh shit, yeah, everything went, fit together really nicely. But to me, when it comes to actors, somebody that would literally put their life at risk by losing as much weight as he did to play a character that weighs 110 pounds, I mean, I gotta give it to him. Christian Bale is the man for that. Like that is dedication to your craft. And I remember reading that even when the director saw him for the first time, he was like, no, why did you do this? This is too much, like too much for the role. No, but that's just the type of actor that he seems. He's in it. He's in it. And yeah, The Machinist it's a wild movie. It's kind of it's kind of gray, like, and I mean that as far as like the way it's shot. I mean, it literally is
very blue, gray, all throughout.
It's really dark in all senses of the word. The movie's dark, the way it's shot is dark, but I love it. It always keeps me interested, and that's gonna be my number 3 pick, The Machinist.
Moose, what do you think about The Machinist?
I can't disagree with how you described it all. Of course, yeah, I can't believe how far Christian Bale was willing to destroy his body to play the role that he thought was right. I don't even know if the script, so to speak, or, as they kind of described how the character was, even asked for someone to become a true, just such a frail and thin person. I mean, you could see his eyes were so sunken in. He just looked like a zombie of himself at that point. Yeah. But yeah, so of course, again, Christian Bale is fantastic in a way of, like you said, this was truly, I think, his first conversion that people saw to, if you want to call it the method acting. I think this was him, dedicating to that effect, which I think in another movie, whether it goes on my list or not, he's done the same thing afterwards. I mean, nearly 14, 15 years later with Vice, where he actually plays as Dick Cheney, right? But does the opposite, gains a ton of weight purposely, to the point where it's probably not safe and such. And yeah, his dedication to the craft is unbelievable. On that note, though, I will say that I think this movie particularly is one of those movies that, as Jay just alluded to or said earlier about, I don't love all the movies he's in, but he's amazing in that, in whatever he is in. I think this kind of falls into that for me as well. Yes, it's shot very well and beautifully, but I find the movie quite slow. And of course, that's the intention. It's kind of what the movie is about. Without giving any details away, I find it almost too depressing to watch. I think over and again at that point. This is a movie that I'd watch once I'll be glad that I watched it, but I will not want to have any urge to watch it again at this point. And so I think that this might be this might be your your Achilles heel on your list here, Sean.
No.
Unfortunately, but I think at this point, you tell me how many times you've seen this movie. Let me ask you that.
I have seen this movie twice because yes,
Twice?
I do agree it's not one that I would say, hey, come on, kids, let's sit down and watch a movie together.
Right.
But it's one of those movies that that needs to be seen. I think it's that good of a movie. If you're depressed, it'll make you a lot more depressed. I'll give you that for sure.
Right. See?
But I don't pick this movie specifically because it's the greatest movie ever made. I pick it because the draft to me is being about Christian Bale, and this movie to me really personifies and solidifies Christian Bale as an actor. So if you don't think he's a good actor, then hey, I think he's an awesome actor. I think he's one of the best ones out there now. And this movie to me just proves that. I don't think there's any other people that could have pulled off what he did, and that's why I picked that movie, because I think it's something that only he could have done. So I have to put it on the list, as depressing that it may be. And if somebody hasn't seen it, you have to watch it at least the one time, and you'll be amazed by what he put himself through. Even his face is just sunken in. Like,
so sunken in. Yeah.
How do you get that skinny where your face is sunken in? Like, and I just
he looks like a skull with just skin wrapped over it, essentially. Like,
and again,
I don't know.
Yeah, and he did. I'd have to look it up, but I want to say he did Batman Begins like a year later that movie came out.
Yeah.
So
you're right. He did it a year later.
I mean, it literally was a matter of months that he went from this 110-pound skeleton to Batman. It just blows my mind. That's why it has to be on the list. That to me shows that it should be there. It shows that my list is better than yours, Moose. That's just how it is.
It's an interesting addition to the list because, like Moose said, I don't love this movie, but it is an example of the lengths that he goes to be a great actor. This is a movie that I've only seen once. I saw it in 2004 with you, Sean, at our apartment. I know that we watched this together for the first time, and we were both just mesmerized by how sickly he looked, because he turned himself into a skeleton for this role.
Yeah.
I think that you probably identify with the sleep aspect more than both me or Moose, because you have 3 kids. I'm sure that at some point you've muttered, "I just want to go to sleep." So maybe that's why it's
I tell myself, "Who am I? Who am I? I just want to sleep. Who am I?"
So The Machinist at number 3, a great example of how he conforms to a role. Moose, what are you going here with at number 3? What's going to turn the tides for you?
I think the movie I pick, I think, to Sean's point, I think this still, if we're trying to showcase what Christian Bale is able to do, whether it's from a physical aspect and change his body to what he does from an acting standpoint, I think there's so many movies that will definitely exemplify that. I just think that The Machinist was probably the first one, but I think probably one of his best ones, and the one that probably was definitely not nearly as depressing, but still, I mean, I've always loved old historical movies that whether they were based on true stories or true stories in general. I've always enjoyed those, but the one that I think that was a real standout for him is Rescue Dawn.
Think for one fucking second.
Ooh, interesting choice.
So Rescue Dawn, I'm sure if you guys have seen before, I know Jason, you've seen it before, but he plays Dieter Dengler, a Navy pilot that is one of the first ever pilots downed before the Vietnam War technically began out in Vietnam and Laos area, I believe, and essentially him as a prisoner of war along these other American soldiers that had been there for quite a bit of time. And I think that just his representation of this person was so I don't know. I just don't. I just don't think that movie could have ever worked in any other way without him, in terms of how he was able to collectively keep the group together. And that alone, I think, was just Christian Bale's magic, as well as his just ability to make me feel convinced, alongside that, whatever he was looking to do to keep his own guys, alive and hopeful and wanting to survive through whatever hardships that were going to come their way, whether it was a short term or long term. I was so, I want to say, inspired by it or so, because but either way, it just felt so hopeful all throughout. And he again goes through that similar transformation that you actually see throughout the movie in this case, where you can see him in his normal, call it, body weight, size and all that. And as the movie progresses, you see him, I don't know if he got close to machinist level of thinness and body fat and, muscle loss, but it got damn near close. I definitely could say for sure. And if you were to look at the first scene with him on it, pause that, or take a snapshot of it, and then go to where, further progressing down the movie and seeing where he is then, it's unbelievable. Again, just within the movie, in a sense. It's Steve Zahn is in it. He was amazing in this movie. So is I believe Jonathan Davies, I believe, was in it. Just a really great cast. And I was so just, the overall scene, the overall location, and just the way it was shot. I truly felt like it was a movie kind of made from the 60s, but obviously, made in 2006, so more recent. But I thought the movie is one of my most, I think it was one of my favorite Christian Bale performances I've ever seen.
Sean, have you seen this one?
I have. I've seen it once. Don't remember too much about it. I probably saw it when it came out. I got to be honest, I did not. I'll just leave it at this. I did not think Moose was going this route.
Okay.
Didn't think you're going there, Moose.
That's okay. That's all right. You'll be pleasantly surprised. All right. I'll just say that. If you were to watch it again, all right, and I highly recommend that you do, I think that you will agree with everything that I'd said, just because of Christian Bale's awesomeness here.
Well, I think the only thing I can really remember is wasn't he eating like some bugs, like some worms or something?
He ate a snake. He ate bugs. He was eating essentially.
Yeah. I remember that.
He was, he kind of did many things. He was a very skilled technician before he was, I guess, down in there. But at the same point, like you said, there was a point where they had what looked like maggots, and I think it was like maggots that were crawling around in a bowl, but that's what they served him for food. And he just said, "Oh, protein," and just started scrumping it down, and everyone was like, "Oh, gross," and he's like, "Nope, that's what I'm gonna do to stay alive." And even I cringed a little bit, but it was amazing.
Rescue Dawn's a really good movie. I haven't seen it since probably 2006. I need to revisit it. I remember that Christian Bale was great in it. I remember that Steve Zahn was great in it. And that's pretty much all I remember about it, but I do know that I liked it.
Same. Yeah. I know it was a good movie. But I haven't seen it since it came out.
All right. Well, there's still some heavy hitters in his filmography up for grabs. Just to recap so far, Sean, you've got The Dark Knight, The Prestige, and The Machinist on your list. Moose, you have American Psycho, Ford v Ferrari, and Rescue Dawn on your side.
Let's not take a fucking minute. Let's go again!
Sean Aguilar, pick number 4, the back half of your list here. What are you going with?
So I'm going to go with the movie. This is actually where I thought Moose was going, and this movie was always on my list. And it's going to be Vice.
Oh, good for you! And how was it?
I know I talked about...
Damn you.
Yeah, I know I talked about, how he did what he did for The Machinist. And Moose even kind of sprinkled some of that in, or look what he did with Vice. Okay, when you watch Vice, when you look at Dick Cheney, because for those who don't know, it's obviously it's a movie who it's supposed to be somewhat-ish true. I think history shows that probably a good majority of it is true, unfortunately. But when you watch this movie about good old Dick Cheney,
An old Dickie.
You have no idea that Christian Bale is this character. When you look at it, I see Dick Cheney. I do not see Christian Bale. On that note, every time I see this movie, I say, what the fuck is Michael Scott doing in this movie? Because I just cannot get over the fact. I mean, I love Steve Carell, but tell me he's fucking not playing Michael Scott as Don Rumsfeld. And every single time, like, it's that to me, it just really sums up. And I'm not saying that Steve Carell is a bad actor, because Steve Carell is one of my favorite. He's one of my favorites. You know, The Office is my favorite show. But you look at Christian Bale as old Dick, and you literally see, you know, Dick Cheney there. His mannerisms, the way that he talks, the way that
you even think
acts.
he's wearing a bodysuit, like to be. It's that's him.
I mean,
I couldn't believe it.
It is insane. And doing research on this movie, I mean, he literally went through, and the amount of research that he did for this movie, again, to stay, because it's one of those things where I remember seeing that, you know, Adam McKay likes to do a lot of you know, ad lib stuff and things like that. So Christian Bale had to ad lib true things as Dick Cheney, so he had to research, you know, the way he talks, like all these things he had to go through and do research on that, which just blows my mind. You know, as far as that goes, the way that I said it, when I see this movie, I look at Christian Bale and I say, "Wow, man, that's awesome as old Dick Cheney."
He's Dick Cheney.
Yeah, he is. I see Steve Carell and I say, fucking look at that. Look at the fucking Michael Scott there. I just cannot get over that. And that should just show it. And the other thing too is I look and I say, the first thing I saw was, I was like, is that fucking Tyler Perry in this movie too? Like, I see all these characters that, you know, they're playing, you know, people that are, you know, obviously they're playing real people, but when it comes to Vice, and specifically when it comes to Christian Bale, never once when I've seen this movie, and I've seen it a couple times, never once did I think, oh yeah, that's Christian Bale in, you know, in makeup. He literally is Dick Cheney. It is insane. And the movie is entertaining as well. I mean, the movie kind of shows, you know, the power that Cheney had. I mean, it's funny. It's actually, I know, you know, most people that haven't seen it might not say, oh yeah, that seems like a hilarious movie. It is a funny movie. It's a really good movie. And like I said, I was just amazed that he was able to portray Dick Cheney the way that he did. So yeah, that's mine. Vice.
Trying to corner the body transformation movies here.
Yes. That's what I'm going after.
You stole one of my picks, unfortunately. I guess you had to return the favor.
Good.
Yeah, Vice was going to be probably my number 5. I just didn't think you were going to pick him. But yeah, to Sean's point, seeing everybody else in that movie look like they're that actor wearing costumes or just pretending to be somebody, like, you know, like if it was a high school play. And Christian Bale is completely transformed into Dick Cheney, as in, you know, that, I mean, the only thing they probably did was the hairpiece and wearing glasses. Everything else is him, you know, and he gained the weight, he wore the suit, he talked like him, you know. I mean, at this point, if you were even to, you know, have any sort of voice comparison, you know, like digitally, it sounded just like Dick Cheney. I don't believe it, you know, and the only person that I thought was actually close, you know, anything close to, maybe not nearly as Christian Bale, but transforming in that movie was Sam Rockwell as Bush. He was the only one that at least I felt was a little bit more convincing in it. But the movie's fantastic, though. I loved it. It really, again, kind of shines a light on some, you know, ugliness in American history, and very recently, unfortunately, as well, in terms of how much power this person had and what he did as in terms of transforming the political scene. I have nothing really bad to say about that pick, unfortunately. So hats off to you.
This is one that I have not seen, so I can't really add much to it.
You should. I think a lot of people, you know, they might think, oh, they don't watch it because they think, oh, it's too political. It's a really good movie. And like I said,
it's hilarious too, honestly.
That's exactly what I say. It's a funny movie, dude. It's funny just because the way that they go about making the film. Like I think like how it starts at Moose, how it like there's a point in this film where I think maybe it's what, like 15 minutes into it where the movie ends. You remember that, Moose? Where like the movie ends, they roll the credit like to make people think like this is the story. This is how it should have happened, and the movie just ends. Like they roll credits. It's fucking hilarious, dude. It's a really funny movie. It's not like it's not like a long, boring like political drama. It's nothing like that. It's really funny. It's a really funny movie.
Do you remember the scene in bed in the Shakespeare thing?
Yes, dude.
Yeah, I was laughing really hard at that. I thought that was hilarious and very well done and very creative. But very, very, very good. Good.
That's what's good. Because Cleaver. Because I think the movie starts with them saying, basically, this is a movie about Dick Cheney. As best we know,
very
like
secretive man,
like he's very secretive. So some of the things, like Moose was talking about, that scene where they're in bed together. It's Shakespearean. So him and his wife, him and Amy Adams, they're talking to each other, and they're talking like
in
Shakespearean prose. Yeah, dude, it's fucking hilarious. It's a really funny movie, and I'm surprised you haven't seen it, Kleberg. Yeah, it's a really, really good, funny movie. It really is.
It's the Adam McKay factor. I'm always kind of lukewarm on Adam McKay movies, but I'll give it a shot here next time I'm looking for something to watch.
Damn it, we haven't yet hit the fifth one for Kleberg's list yet, so
not yet. Maybe here at number 4 for you, Moose. What do you got?
All right. Well, I'm here. I'm trying to kind of see what I can make a move on. Newsies.
Still a lot of good ones.
That's
out
the
there.
Fifth one. There you go. It's fifth one right there, as it is.
Throw it out there. That's Kleberg's fifth. Newsies.
I don't think I'm going to hit Kleberg's fifth one, at least with this next pick, considering what he just said. But I think, again, I'm going to go with the Adam McKay series, since they've worked quite a bit together. The movie is super enjoyable. Again, Christian Bale being the star as Michael Burry. I'm picking The Big Short for number 4.
This is the second time that he doesn't give a fuck.
So again, I think another kind of, not a political, but definitely a drama that, takes based more of a historical drama that, of course, takes some liberty with what things happened. And so, hey, if we don't know the actual insights of what happened at these meetings, we can only just guess. But what we can say are these, from the housing crisis to the overall market crash, the overall recession that hit America, just barely 10, 12 years ago, 15 years ago, roughly. And done in a really smart and sharp way that I think allows anybody who, is not really into any of this stuff, whether they are into stocks, into banking, or into just housing and, anything of that nature, very, very well explained to allow people to understand, like, why did this happen? And again, let's just boil it down. This is all due to the greed, corruption, and rooted, ineptitude due to many people that really, a few thousand people impacted millions and billions. In fact, I mean, I know that with the U.S. going to in a recession, it affected the rest of the world economy as well, and a lot of people throughout the world suffered because of this. But again, I think the movie is really entertaining. Christian Bale, being the guy who first kind of catches eye on this trend here as Michael Burry, was fantastic. I think that he just, again, he was supposed to be with this sort of guy that was a very monotone, very almost uncharismatic in a way because of the way he was. That's just his character was, and he just pulls it off like nothing at this point. I think this is a movie that I enjoy watching over and over again, just because I think that every other cast member and every other character was still really interesting to watch. But I think this will be a really good choice for me as number 4.
He also was nominated for an Academy Award for this, the only actor out of like a stacked cast to be nominated.
Right.
I know it won adapted screenplay. I actually did watch this, and I remember liking it. I don't remember that much about it. I'm sure we watched it because Ryan Gosling's in it, and my wife will watch anything with Ryan Gosling in it. Sean, have you seen this one?
You know, this movie should have everything, like on paper it has everything that I would ever want in it. I've never seen it. Haven't seen it.
Oh,
Okay.
I've never
you are
seen
missing
it.
out, man.
Yeah, and I
You need to watch it.
love Michael Lewis, obviously. I know I do know that it's based on his books. It's on my list of movies to watch, but I mean, you guys know how it is. That list of movies to watch is probably thousands of movies long. I've never seen it. Yeah, it just
I will
yeah.
die never completing my own personal list. So let's be real, all right?
Yeah.
yeah.
I've never seen it. Never seen it.
Okay.
But I will though.
All right. You each have one more pick to round out your list. Sean, what are you going to cap your list with here at number 5? Is it going to be my number 5?
You know, I hope, but I knew. So I think so far, I think the only one that Moose sniped for me was Ford versus Ferrari. So this movie was also on my list from the get go. I love it. It's American Hustle.
Seriously, man, you and me, we're fucking done professionally.
David O. Russell.
Yeah, American Hustle is okay. Yeah.
It rhymes with Russell.
You know, I love movies where people get, deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, and then find a way out of the bottom of the pit that they're in. For those that haven't seen American Hustle, it's basically Christian Bale plays a character who's a con man, and he meets another his girlfriend, whatever. They meet together. She's a con woman. He's married, by the way. He has a kid. Like there's so many different things with this, but it's basically the story of a con man couple, so con man and con woman couple, that get themselves into trouble and have to figure a way out of it. And it's so entertaining. I love the comb over. I love the comb over when he has to comb his hair. It is a very entertaining movie. It's one of those movies where it's, to me, I think the pacing is good. I don't think it's boring. I think there's a lot of different moving parts, and it's just really entertaining. So I gotta go with American Hustle to round up my top 5.
American Hustle. Moose, what are your thoughts on this one?
You know, the funny thing is, I just recently watched this too. It was on my to watch list, and finally got a chance to watch it probably within the last 5-6 months. I actually did enjoy the movie. I liked it a lot as well. I do. Again, Christian Bale was fantastic in it. He was a person that, although he was doing these dastardly things in this movie, I couldn't help but sympathize for him in regards to just who he was, his situation, and I guess why he was doing this. I don't know, but I couldn't help but feel sorry for him quite a bit, and I think that Christian Bale drew that out of me just because he's so convincing. But at the same time, I again, this is, I think, more of a David O. Russell thing than it is a Christian Bale. I kind of feel like this is David Russell's attempt to trying to be. I think he's kind of trying to. Most of his movies seem to kind of be a knockoff of Martin Scorsese stuff, whether maybe minus the narration with the main character or so. But so I kind of see a lot of similarities, I guess, in some way. But again, I'd still say I think the movie is enjoyable. I do think it's fun, and Christian Bale, again, I think I think the character he played was really, really. I guess that's one thing about Christian Bale, is like whether he's like in a really evil character or really, I don't think he really played like a knight in shining armor type of thing, outside of say being Batman. But he's always just super likable. I think that I've always rooted for him in any way, shape, or form because of how well he portrays it. So I have really, I think that's a good choice for number 5.
I remember this came out. It was like a box office smash too.
Yeah, it's. I mean, the way that he portrays his actors, where he can, he can con people, and he can have you feel one way about that, but then he cares about his son, and then I just yeah, just the way that he goes about it. I love his acting prowess in this movie. And yeah, I do remember that it was a big hit when it came out. I remember I didn't see it right when it came out. I saw I think a couple years after, and thinking to myself, yeah, I can see why this was a popular movie. It's a good one, American Hustle.
Another movie with an awesome cast in it, so I definitely think if you enjoyed this, you should definitely watch The Big Short anyways. It's, again, awesome cast in it, so.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna watch it. And again, we talk about in this movie he has a beer belly in this one.
Yeah.
He's all over the place.
I think that says so much more to like Christian Bale's ability. I mean, think how many movies has he been in where, it's such a star-studded cast, but yet even though maybe he is, positioned as the lead actor, but he still stands out by far the most, where in many other movies you could definitely tell, whether it's, Tarantino movies or whomever, it's a supporting actor that's the clear standout. And I think in this case, like, there's nobody ever, call it, outshines Christian Bale because of his talent. I think he's always the most entertaining or the most fun to watch in any way, shape, or form. So,
100%. Yep.
This is one that I don't love as a movie, but I do agree that the performances are really good. I don't see Christian Bale as, like, when I watched it, I didn't see him as the standout. When I look back at it, I remember more, for some reason I remember Amy Adams and Jennifer Lawrence more, but I do remember that he was good in it. I hope that the audience agrees with you, Sean. I don't know that this would have been on my list, but
yes.
Obviously I'm in the minority there. There are a ton of, like, it was on so many people's top 10 lists at the end of the year. So I'm clearly in the minority there.
Yeah, I think it was a good movie, but I would have not have put it on my top 5 even if it was available to me. So there you go, Sean.
Well, so what's your number 5, Moose? What's your last
what do you
one?
got, the Newsies?
I'm dying.
Right,
I'm
Newsies, here
I'm
it
dying to
comes.
hear you talk about Newsies for the next 30 minutes.
Here I
Come on,
am.
let's go.
All right, let me pick a movie that I've never seen before, but all the things that are so great about it. All right, so now I'm still right now trying to debate between a couple, because this is my number 5, and I think I still have some excellent choices here remaining. I've boiled it down to 2 right now, and I think I may have to just go with the one that I'm gonna go with 3:10 to Yuma.
You're unbelievable, man. You're unfucking believable.
I thought you were going to go with Thor, Love and Thunder there.
Oh my goodness, that was where he plays as Gore. Wow. Thor and Gore. It's like a comedy show at this point. No, I didn't. I did watch Thor, and oh my god, I don't even want to talk about that. And unfortunately, again, Christian Bale was fantastic in it, as for the 10 minutes he's in that movie, barely. But yeah, let's not get into that. But yes, I'll go with 3:10 to Yuma. The other choice I was gonna go with was the one he actually won an Oscar for The Fighter. But since Sean already picked a David O. Russell movie, I was trying to go with the 5 for 5 on Kleberg's list. So I wonder, is this your number 5? First off, was 3:10 to Yuma on your list?
It was not my number 5.
Damn
no,
it.
I'll talk about that in our honorable mentions.
Dang it. All right. Well, I'm going to stick with 3:10 to Yuma at this point, because, again, I've always been a fan of Westerns, especially very well done ones. And I know that he's been in a couple of them that I really enjoyed. One of the more recent ones he had was Hostiles, which I thought was actually still really good. I liked it a lot. But 3:10 to Yuma, again, fantastic cast. Russell Crowe and him. Obviously, he is a farmer that just is, down on his luck in regards to just farming in the Old West. I want to say, obviously late 1800s, but has an opportunity to be able to help to bring a prisoner out to I guess out to justice, if anything, because he's been finally caught. But the local militia, the local force is very shorthanded, so they need his help. And so to go with that, I think that he again plays such a sympathetic character in terms of his struggle, what he dealt with when he was in the war. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's been a while since I've seen it. But if you guys remember, did he not have like an injury to his leg or something like that? That also just physically struggled throughout his whole, whether he was farming or just doing anything from being able to take care of his family. It was always a struggle as it is. But I think that as far as how he turned out or what ended up, in terms of how he was able to have some really good scenes, I think, with Russell Crowe when it came to how they both convince each other of, whose way of life was better on another, or who was the more justified in their role with what they were doing. I found super interesting, and I love that kind of back and forth, especially between two extremely well-established and heavyweight actors. I thought it's too good to not watch, and so I think 3:10 to Yuma will be my final pick, and definitely put me ahead on the voting count.
Yeah, right.
This is actually a pretty strong pick here, Sean. What's your view on 3:10 to Yuma? Pretty sure we all saw this one together.
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna say I know that we all saw we probably all three of us probably saw this movie together in the theaters. I know for sure that I saw it with you, Kleberg, in theaters, and liked it. The only reason why I wouldn't put it on my list is because I love the original. I love the 1950s. I think the original came out in 56, 57.
57, yeah.
Yeah, dude, you know I love my westerns, and I know you won't sit and watch 3.5 hour, westerns and movies because you think it's too long. I will. I love westerns. I think any person that cares about movies and westerns or whatever in general, I would say that this is what's going to do Moose in, because he picked a remake. He picked an adaptation of another movie, and I think the original one, being the original, is you can't really stand up to it. I like this movie. Yes, I did, but that's because I like the original, and I don't think that we should have a remake on the list. Throwing that out there. That's what's going to do Moose in. That's what's going to do him in right there.
We've got a remake, a proposed remake ban from Sean here.
If that's the case, then you have to get Dark Knight off your thing, because that's a remake of any Batman movie at that point, all right?
No, don't you. Okay, you guys heard it here first. Moose is comparing Dark Knight to other Batman movies. Okay, Moose, go ahead. Yeah, you're really gonna win points with that one.
That's the way it's gonna be, all right? You have to follow your rule, all right?
He's comparing it to Mr. Freeze.
It's a recreation of a same character. Hence, your rule allows it to be voted off. Go pick another one.
No. 3:10 to Yuma is a remake.
I'm not saying Dark Knight is a bad movie. I'm just saying your rule says that you have to take it off the list. So hence, you made the rule.
There's literally a movie. It literally is a movie already. So I mean, it's the original, and the original is better. So that's where the Dark Knight. You can't even compare that, because the Dark Knight is the best. I think it's gonna do you in, Moose. I really do. I think it's gonna do you in.
If you say so. We shall see. We shall see.
We're going to do a quick recap here. Then we'll talk about some of those Bale movies that could have made the list but didn't. And then I'm going to give you a little bit of time to give your last plea to the listeners to pick your list above your opponents. So, Sean, on your list, you have The Dark Knight, The Prestige, The Machinist, Vice, and American Hustle. And then Moose, on your list, you have American Psycho, Ford vs. Ferrari, Rescue Dawn, The Big Short, and 3:10 to Yuma. Sean's got 2 Christopher Nolan pictures on his. Moose, you got 2 James Mangold pictures on yours. And you each split an Adam McKay film on each. This is gonna be an interesting one. Okay. So movies that could have made the list but didn't. Number 5 on my list was the 2000, I think it came out in like 2002 film called Reign of Fire, the one with dragons and Matthew McConaughey.
I hope it was fucking good, because it's useless now, isn't it?
Really?
You guys seen that one? Yeah, I love that movie.
Wait, is that the one with Sean Connery in it? No, wait, I'm not thinking of somebody else.
He's not in it.
Never mind.
No,
I have not
this
seen
is
this
Matthew
movie.
McConaughey and Christian Bale and Gerard Butler, my boy Gerard Butler. But
really,
it is such a fun movie. Yeah, if you haven't seen it in a long time, I think you should go back and watch it. It's really quite. It's something.
I'm just gonna say I'm glad I didn't
Sean,
have that on my
you
list.
laugh like you think this is terrible, huh?
Oh God, yeah, dude.
I've never seen this movie, but I
man.
can only imagine because I've seen the cover to it, and yeah, the cover alone is already convincing me to burn it at this point. Rain of Fire, put it in its own Rain of Fire at that point. But I don't know. That's just me.
It's so good. It's so good. Okay, other movies that could have made it. The Fighter did not make it. He was nominated for an Oscar for that one. I think
He won it actually.
Won the
he
Oscar.
won that one, and that was going to be one of my. I probably could have been my fifth, but I figured I wanted to go with the Western. But
and then let's see what else could have made it. The Christopher Nolan Batman Begins. That one I thought could make the list. Any others that you guys were like on the fence about that we haven't talked about?
I had Public Enemies as a possibility if like my list didn't go the way I wanted it to. I didn't love the movie, but I would have probably chosen it because I think it was still okay. But yeah, Public Enemies as Melvin Purvis.
Melvin Purvis. Sean, you have any on your honorable mentions list that we didn't talk about yet?
No, I think I got all of them. I'm just surprised that Moose had Ford vs Ferrari. I did not think he was going to pick that one. So, but no, yeah, I think we got all of them, except for Newsies, of course.
There are some people that really overvalue, in my opinion, the 2002 movie Equilibrium.
Yes, I am on the same page. I think we've talked about this before. I have no clue why this is like a very huge cult following, but not a huge, but I'd say it has some sort of cult following. But I've seen it before. I don't get it, but that's just me.
Yeah. All right. One last plea for the listeners to choose yours over your opponents. Sean, what do you got for your final call here?
I would just say, to those people out there voting, my list has substance. It doesn't have any remakes on it, as I mentioned. My list shows Christian Bale. So, like, if you were to, if you were to go through and say, hey, look at this body of work of this one actor, and if you look at my list and see that he has, the just mega blockbuster Dark Knight, and then with him playing, a guy that's like almost 35, 40 years older than him, as Dick Cheney, like, who could play Batman, Dick Cheney, and then a 110-pound guy, a con artist? My list has substance and no remakes. So that's why I think that my list is definitely, I think it's a lot better than Moose's. Like I said, Moose doesn't have Dark Knight. And for those that would, try to shit on the Dark Knight just because it was so popular, if you look at the movie itself, it is such a good, it is just such a good movie. It's one of the best. So my list has Dark Knight on it. Moose's doesn't. That's the end of the story, really.
He's really leaning heavily into the Dark Knight. Moose, why should people pick
I will
yours?
say that, well, that's, again, I think I'm going to roll with those as well and say, how many times did he have to say Dark Knight? If that's the only thing that will only carry weight for him, then I think he's already sunk. Truly, I think if we were going to always talk about which movie has made the most money and which is the more commercially, call it popular one, then yeah, of course, we can easily say that list. But if you want movies that truly show nothing but from an acting and from a true, call it craftsman of their art, then my list clearly has that. All right, that means this list, if you were to watch every single one of these, every one of these will be a movie that you will be truly convinced to see that Christian Bale is one of the greatest actors of our era, while Sean's list will clearly show that, yeah, a few of them are in there, and then one of them is just one big Hollywood blockbuster, and at that point he has to mention it 20 times to say, oh, don't forget about that one, I made that, and that was blockbuster smash, blockbuster hit.
You skipped the whole first part where I said, look, forget about Dark Knight. This guy was the vice president. This guy was 110 pounds.
No,
go ahead.
At this point, I think everybody forgot about. I think everybody forgot about after however many times you said Dark Knight, but that's okay. That's all right. That's okay. I even had it listed. It was like 9 times. All right, 9 times. But no, I think
Wow.
I think my list will definitely be the winner in this case. So
You didn't give us any examples.
I think you were listening again. If you want to see someone who is a true artist of their craft or a true artsman in this case, Christian Bale, this list here will truly prove to you that Christian Bale is one of the greatest actors of our generation. My list
Perfect. Yep.
is a much
Exactly.
it's a much better example or a much better list
No.
to showcase that.
No way.
Yes.
Your list, my
Yes.
list has him
Yes
as Dick
way.
Cheney and a 110-pound guy. No way.
You also have him as another fat guy in American Hustle, so he
Yeah.
could play fat twice. I
Thanks for
guess.
adding
Okay,
that.
that's the case. There
Thanks
you
for
go.
adding that in there, Moose.
he plays fat guy twice. All right, cool. I feel bad
You
shitting
know,
on Christian Bale right now because I can't do it. Still.
I mean,
I'm not gonna lie.
that's the thing,
I wish every political, like actual political voting thing could be almost as cordial as we are. Like, you know what, his list is pretty good. You know, if you choose it, it's not that bad. You wouldn't have to be so hostile toward each other, but nonetheless, I guess it's less as fun. But either way,
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's the thing. I think we can be like this, you know, because we're friends. You know, we've known each other for a long time. I think if I lost, I would be fine with it. Literally, Christian Bale. You said it, Moose. To me, I think that he's honestly probably one of the best actors, definitely of our generation. Definitely, even now, he's one of the best actors. Which is why we
Of all
picked him.
time,
I mean, it just shows. You know, he's what an actor should be. And I mean, I don't know him personally, but from everything that I hear about him, he's also just a good stand-up, you know, dude. So you know, I mean, no matter which way it goes, whether it goes, you know, Moose or me, Christian Bale is the man, dude. I mean, so if they don't pick my list, I'm fine with that. I think if people just watch the movies on our list, they would see exactly what we're trying to say. This guy is the man. You know, and like you guys said before, you may not love every single one of the movies. You know, you may not love every movie that he's done. But when you're done watching a movie that has Christian Bale in it, you'll say, "Damn, that guy can fucking act. That guy is a fucking actor." And
Absolutely,
I think that's what's important is the fact that he's the man. He really is.
you know, I think I'm even more glad that we chose him because otherwise, if we had picked any other actor, that it would have just been a, you know, as I jokingly say, a blockbuster, you know, battle at that point. Like which movie made more money, probably was more popular or well known. And at that point, it would have been a vote on that. Here, it's truly just, I really want to watch the movie before I make a decision on that list if they had not seen it, whether they were big blockbuster hits or not, right? So I think that's probably the even better or cooler way of doing it. It's just, if it gets people interested or at least somehow take notice about a particular movie or a notice of just any Christian Bale movies in general that we mentioned or not mentioned, that's the point. I think that's a really cool thing, just to get people more into the conversation. And so I'm glad we picked him.
For fuck's sake.
We'll see how this shakes out. We're gonna have the voting up a couple days after the episode is up to listen to, so you can digest, maybe watch some of these Christian Bale films, and then vote. Now, you guys are the first people to be on 5 Live without being on your own podcast. So I guess I'll ask: are you guys interested in wagering anything on the winner? Like the loser has to watch a certain movie or anything like that? Or are you just going to say pride is what's on the line here?
Oh, I mean, we can make it fun, Sean. It's up to you.
Yeah, I mean, Kleberg, you know us both, like, you know, really well. You can pick our punishments if we lose.
You can make Sean wear a Niners
know.
jersey or something like that.
Yeah, dude, you know us, bro. So I mean, you can pick the punishment, and I'll do.
Or
it
make him wear a Giants jersey, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, you heard it first. Winner gets $1,000.
Loser has to watch a Pittsburgh Pirates game.
Oh, I wouldn't wish that on anybody. Yeah, I think it'd be fun to do a movie thing, and then if whoever loses has to watch a movie, and then that movie they have to record an audio review, and I'll put it on the show.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds good.
That sounds good.
All right, cool. Well, we'll give it a couple days once the voting goes up to see how this swings. People will be voting on Twitter People will be voting on the Cinematics Facebook page, so we'll see how this all shakes out. Moose, Sean, thanks so much for coming on. This was a blast, and I have my mark down for who I think is going to win. I won't reveal until there is a winner, but I do have my mark down for who I think is going to win. But it's a tougher choice than the last two for me.
I'm gonna fucking kick your fucking ass. You don't shut up for a second, all right?